All right. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
All of this goes away. Okay, great. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. If you've been at these before, you might recognize me from giving this presentation in the past. My name's Omar Ahmed. I'm with ODOT. I'm the area manager for the Bend North Corridor project. Zach Davis is going to be tag teaming this presentation with me. And of course, thank you, Cody, for getting this all set up and getting us teed up. So this isn't our first time here, and as such, I'll try to keep our discussion of project scope and history a little limited, and I'll point you to our project website for that. And we'll really focus in on kind of the construction going on today and future impacts to the area. Again, you're going to see my email and phone number right here on the front. I'm pretty quick to answer my phone and email, so if you ever have any questions after the fact, please reach out to me. And then also, I'll make sure that Cody gets a PDF of this presentation so we can make sure that it gets distributed back to all of you guys at the end. Zach, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to get a project update. I am the Bend North Corridor resident engineer.
Okay. So we'll just hop on right into just our quick overview of scope. So for those of you maybe new here, new to this project, the Bend North Corridor is a large highway realignment project, but also a bike ped project. So just kind of a 20,000 foot overview of what's going on here. On this graphic, north is up. You'll see kind of a V that US 20 and 97 make in this area. Over on the 20 corridor, we constructed two roundabouts, one at Cooley Road and one at Roble Road. And if you've driven it recently, you'd have seen almost all that work's done. We've also started work on the new alignment of US 97. That's going to be aligned east of its current location, adjacent to the railroad tracks, and provide a less congested pass through for folks just trying to use 97. And we're going to be doing some preservation work and ADA and path enhancements on existing 97 as well. Part of this project is going to be building three bridges on the 97 portion. I just wanted to highlight some of our bike ped scope on this project specifically. Over on the 20 side and on the existing 97 side, you're going to see 10 to 12 foot paths pretty much throughout the corridor to ensure that our bicycle and pedestrian users have good access. The roundabouts on US 20 have RRFBs, which are rectangular rapid flashing beacons for pedestrian crossing safety. We've also got a new bus stop location for CET on Roble. The number 4 line has already actually changed direction, I believe. It's now operating in a counterclockwise way. Gives them a little more travel time reliability and a safer route for the drivers. We've got more path on existing 97 and a quiet crossing at Cooley and the railroad. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Zach to talk about our schedule and construction. And before I forget, if anyone has questions at all, please feel free to interrupt us. Neither of us really are too concerned about that. And if it's a relevant topic and a relevant slide, it's always a good time to ask.
Thanks, Omar. So this is a block map for our project that I'll be referring to as I go through the presentation here. I'm going to be primarily presenting our traffic control configuration over the next 6 months. Plus, I'll give a sneak peek into the future just beyond that. And again, as Omar mentioned, if there are any questions whatsoever, feel free to jump in and interrupt me, and I can address that as we go through. To quickly provide some orientation, unfortunately, throughout this presentation, north is going to be bouncing all over the place, so I'll try to remember to orient as we go through each slide. North on this slide is to the right of the screen. US 20 is the various shades of blue and green, includes the Cooley and Roble roundabout and preservation work, paving work associated with that. And then looking at the new US 97 alignment, when I say the term south end or south interchange, what I'm referring to is the US 97 at Empire Avenue area. For the north, when I say the term north end or the north interchange, I'm referring to new US 97 and Cooley Road. And if I say the term mid alignment, I'm referring to the new US 97 alignment between those 2 points, and that roughly parallels Nels Anderson. Next slide. So first, starting at US 20, as of November 2023, US 20 is functionally complete and fully operational. The contractor is out there now working on final trimming and cleanup punch list work. You may see some very minor traffic control associated with this work. There also is probably going to be some striping adjustments that are done at the end of next year. But for the most part, there will not be any major traffic control measures associated with the Bend North Corridor project in the area of this project. Outside of the only outstanding element on the US 20 work is a variable message sign that's going to be installed between the Cooley and Old Bend Redmond roundabouts, and that variable message sign will be for eastbound traffic. You'll see that come up over the next year. We poured the foundation and we got to bring the sign in here and work through some electrical items. Next slide. So moving now back over to US 97, the north end, we are in a traffic control configuration, which is stage 2. We entered into that traffic control configuration in November, and we are planning to be in that configuration until April 2024. Next slide. This is the stage 2 lane configurations looking southbound. So in order to give the contractor room to build the north interchange connection and shared use path, we basically had to push all the travel lanes together and move them as far west as possible. That's what you see here. We've reduced we've got 2 travel lanes each direction. They're 11-foot travel lanes. And we have a 5-foot shoulder for northbound and a 5-foot shoulder for southbound. There is an area where we've had to reduce down to 2 feet. There just wasn't enough real estate there. So that's the lane configurations. And here I'll walk you through the plan view on the next slide. Next slide, please. So starting on the very north end of the project, now the north arrow is, if it were on here, it would be pointing to the left of the screen. And I'll walk through this traffic control stage going southbound. So the southbound travel lanes are going from left to right. And as you can see, at roughly station 3128, that's where we begin our traffic switch and lane narrowing. Yes, thank you, Omar. And there's concrete barrier on the northbound shoulder, and the Grandview access is right in, right out only. The northbound left turning movement on the Grandview has been permanently closed. So it's closed in this temporary traffic control configuration, but it won't be coming back once we finish permanent construction. And right now, our closure for that is surface mounted tubular markers, but the permanent configuration will be a harder barrier. Next slide. And this is just an aerial view of our current traffic control configuration. I want to say this aerial's 2 weeks old. You can see this is looking northbound, and there's the concrete barrier on the northbound shoulder. You can see where we've milled out existing US 97 milling, meaning we've removed the asphalt pavement. It's actually stockpiled there behind the barrier. And Grandview is a right in, right out. Next slide. Moving on south from Grandview, this is the alignment as we go through. Again, 2 11-foot travel lanes each direction, 5-foot shoulder on the northbound shoulder. Southbound shoulder is a little variable. And Clausen remains right in, right out only, and that left turning movement is blocked with surface mounted tubular markers. Next slide. And again, an aerial. Just showing that same configuration coming on down. There's the barrier, and Clausen is right in, right out. Next slide. Moving on down to Cooley, we had to grade this out because it's so busy, it's kind of confusing. But anyway, we have traffic shifted all the way to the west still. There's a temporary signal at Cooley. We've shifted the heads over, and it's operating generally in its existing configuration the way it did before. We didn't drop any lanes or anything. We did remove some turning pockets and some islands, and that was, we had to shrink the footprint to again provide room. We have heard back from members of the public and our own maintenance staff and from our own construction administration team that there are some areas for improvement out here. So we're looking at how we can maybe increase delineation through the winter months during rain events. We've got a number of different measures that we're looking to implement, reflective pavement markers being one, doing some rumble strips. So we have heard that delineation can be better, and we're working on that. We've heard delineation can be better at the signal. We're also evaluating that as well. And I would anticipate some additional measures being out in the field here the next week or two. We're also working very closely with our maintenance staff to monitor for weather events, and we have certain protocols in place to make sure that we keep this segment of the highway clear, specifically where we've got concrete barrier and there's the potential for a berm to build up. I think that's all I've got on. There's going to be some traffic control measures that are implemented and the intent being to improve the delineation and guidance through this section of the road zone. Any questions on the north end before I move on? And real quick, there's one more aerial just showing the Cooley Road intersection. You can see this is now looking south. There's a large embankment that we're building south of Cooley Road. We'll be building a large embankment to the north of Cooley Road here shortly. Any questions on the north end traffic control before I move on? Okay, next slide. And this just summarizes the north end. Again, the existing traffic alignment before we got into this stage was two 12-foot travel lanes each way with a raised concrete median that provided a hard barrier to protect against left turns and crossovers. In order to provide room to actually build this work, we had to take that away in a temporary configuration. We had to reduce travel lanes down to 11 foot. And we are anticipating being in this specific configuration until April 2024. And the left turn closures have been, well, Clausen was never a left turn. We never added one. So it's just, there's no left turn at Clausen going northbound, but we did remove the left turn going into Grandview for safety reasons. And here's the detour route. We do have BCM, we have message boards out there intended to guide folks to this detour route. Next slide. Now moving on to US 97 South End, which again is the Empire Avenue area of the project. Next slide. On the south end, we are actually in stage 3. And stage 3 includes a traffic shift to provide the contractor work room underneath the Empire Avenue bridge so they can build a new retaining wall and construct the new 97 connection to existing. So looking at the slide here, north, again, there's no north arrow, but it would be to the left of the screen. And you can see the Empire off ramp just on the right end of the screen. And as you come past the Empire off ramp, there's a traffic shift. What we've done is we've removed the concrete median and shifted the northbound travel lanes together with the southbound travel lanes to again provide that room underneath the Empire Avenue structure. Can you go to the next slide, Omar? And here you can really see that on this slide. Underneath the Empire Avenue, there's a fairly significant rock cut and retaining wall that needs to be installed. We're actually doing some vibration monitoring right now to set a baseline, and then we're going to get into some rock hammering in this area and building the majority of the new US 97 connection. Next slide. And here's an aerial. You can see Empire Avenue in more of the foreground here. the Empire off ramp. This picture is looking to the south, and you can see where the barrier has been installed and the traffic shift is implemented just north of the Empire Avenue off ramp, the northbound Empire Avenue off ramp. Next slide. And this picture really, it shows I gotta reorient myself. So to the north arrow here is again pointing to the left. And this is showing the northbound travel lanes shifting back to the existing US 97 alignment. And to the east of that, we're building, in the hatched area, we're building all new US 97. We're building what we call the flyover structure for the new Empire on-ramp, and working through this new area. And we're anticipating being into this traffic control configuration until about April 2024. Next slide. And this again is just an aerial kind of showing all of the work. All of that lumber you see is the false work for the flyover structure. There's the new Empire ramp that you can see has been graded. There's a concrete wall that's been placed. And if you look to the far left of the screen, there you can see the traffic has been shifted back to its original configuration. Next slide. Okay, looking a little ahead, past mid-spring of 2024, I'm going to focus on the 97, the north end 97 alignment. The south end, we have some fluid traffic control plans, so I didn't want to present them yet. Next slide. So on the north end, we're actually going to implement a separation between the northbound and the southbound lanes. We're anticipating this to occur April to early summer 2024, and this will provide the contractor room to finish the new US 97 connection in between the northbound and southbound travel lanes, and the new structures. There's two new structures on this north end, one that goes over Cooley Road, and one that's going to go over a new northbound on-ramp that you can see in the next slide here. Go. Next slide. Actually, it's going to be 2 slides down the road. So north is to the left. This is the very north end of the project again, and I'll walk you through going southbound. So going southbound, the traffic configuration southbound will remain as it is today. And northbound is going to be shifted up onto new US 97 and new features of new US 97. Next slide. Continuing on through, northbound travel lanes are on a portion of the new US 97. We also have the shared use path will be constructed and implemented there on the very top side of this slide. That will be our new T-PAR route, which we'll use to channelize pedestrians and bicycle traffic through this area. And again, southbound travel lanes remain in their configuration they are today, concrete barriers separating the work from the travel lanes. Next slide. This is the Cooley Road intersection. North again is to the left. And the change here is we've shifted. Southbound lanes, again, remain as they are today, but the northbound lanes will be channelized into the new northbound on-ramp. We're going to put 2 lanes there. The permanent configuration won't have 2 lanes, but this is our temporary traffic control configuration. And we will adjust the signal, move signal heads to accommodate that. And again, the timeline for this is April to early summer 2024. Next slide. Oh, and before I wrap up, if you could go back 1 slide, Omar. Sometime between now and probably early or April or May 2024, we do need to reconstruct Cooley Road from the Cooley intersection to the railroad tracks. That's going to require going all the way down to subgrade and building back up, which is going to trigger 24-hour impacts of some kind. We need to do that work, but we're not entirely sure how that work is going to be conducted yet. We're working through a variety of different traffic control concepts with the city of Bend. But the primary objective is to minimize the impact of traffic control in that area, recognizing that that's a vital linkage to the area. So there's a directional lane closure concept that we're looking at, and some other concepts that when is the impact to Cooley expected? So that is to be determined, and I wish I didn't have to give that answer, but it aligns with how we reconstruct Cooley Road. So what we're looking at is what's the shortest duration, what's the minimal impact, and seasonally, when does it? Obviously, we can't do it in the middle of winter because we've got to rebuild. It will at a minimum be, there's going to need to be some lane closures because we're going down to subgrade and we need to build that pavement back up. So how we sequence that around is still, unfortunately, the choke point for Cooley is actually back at the railroad tracks where there's really no shoulder. It's just one lane each way. And in order to rebuild that pavement, we're going to have to take it all the way back. So it's hard for me to imagine that we don't have some level of lane closure. It's just a matter of how quickly can it be done. And we're also trying to balance this work with minimizing night work. So we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're not out here at nights. We want to respect the fact that there's a large residential area nearby and people need sleep. We all love sleep. So we've been doing what we can to minimize night work. So balancing all these factors and working with the city of Bend, we're working on developing a construction concept for Cooley Road that rebuilds the road but minimizes the duration, is done in an appropriate season where we don't have risks such as inclement weather delaying the work, and not performing that work at night because it's very close to a residential area. That's all I got.
I have a quick question. I don't think I saw you talk about it. The southbound on-ramp from Empire, is anything happening with that? Is there going to be like a stoplight installed, or I know that's a real problem area already. I didn't know if that was part of this plan.
Sorry, you said southbound on-ramp from Empire. Oh, right. Yeah, so that's a really like tough knot to untangle, as you might imagine, between probably intersection controls here and then also at 20 and Empire. That's technically like on the books as a separate project, as an Empire interchange improvement project, but it's currently not funded by the ODOT side of things. I believe the city at one point or another had some go bond funding for that. But as it sits today, it's not a fully funded project, or really one that we've done even a lot of like preliminary concept work on.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely, duly noted that like that's a hazard. Like it's a tough intersection. As someone who has walked through there before, it's not fun either.
No, yeah, definitely not. It's hard to drive. It's like near impossible to walk past.
Right. So yeah, we definitely understand something needs to be done. We just don't have a funding for a project for it just yet.
Okay, that was my only question, but if anyone else has questions, feel free to raise your hand and I can unmute you. All right, I don't think I see any. Nobody else has questions? Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for that presentation and update. I can tell that people are interested since there's so many on the call. We don't usually have this many people at our meetings. So yeah, thank you so much for that presentation. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like. We're just going to talk about some other Boyd Acres news and discussion. So anybody that's on the call is welcome to stay, but I am hoping a couple of the board members, we have some things to discuss. I see Adam and Diane is still here. So first I wanted to, I see that Joette on the call still? Oh, she is. Good. So Joette has been helping the Boyd Acres neighborhood in one way or another for over 10 years and putting in so much time, just volunteering so much time to us and helping support us long before I was here. But she's going to be stepping back from her duties. So I just really wanted to put that out there and thank her so much for everything that she has done and continues to do. With that said, we will be looking for someone to help with our email update or our email newsletter and our website updating. It doesn't have to be a board member. So if anybody is interested and knows someone that might be interested, that would be great. Let's see. We do have a cookie decorating event happening on December 18th. That's going to be at Deschutes Junction at 5 o'clock. So I hope to see you guys there. And let me see if there's anything else. Do either of the other board members have anything they want to talk about? Oh, I can unmute you if you do. Okay. I think that's pretty much it. We're going to have our next meeting will be an update from the Costco Gateway North project that I know is also of much interest. So we don't have a date nailed down for that yet, but we are hoping for January. So I can keep you guys all posted for that. And I think that's pretty much it. If anyone else has anything they want to ask or comments, feel free to raise your hand. I can unmute you.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi.
Okay. Oh, it's late here in Florida, but I noticed this is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm overwhelmed with all of the information. I'd like to be able to listen back and
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I will be sharing the whole recording to our YouTube page. If anybody wants the recording and they're not sure how to find that, you can also just email me and I can send you the link to the recording because I know it was a lot. I'm going to watch it over again as well.
I was just going, holy cow. I like the pictures because it gave some perspective, but all the mechanical things or the drawings were overwhelming.
It's a lot to take in. Yeah.
When you have a chance, will you send me the link so I can go ahead and review that at my convenience? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I will miss the party, but it's too warm down here to come back.
Oh, I know. Understandable. It's okay. If any of the board members would like to come around 4:15 or 4:30 on next Monday for the cookie event, and we're just gonna get set up. That would be great. And then we are gonna have some food and possibly some hot cocoa and stuff at that too, if you guys attend. So that should be fun. Otherwise, I think that's all we have. So thank you so much for joining. And I hope you enjoy your holidays.